are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. Russell Wright and Matt DeCruz here with you this lovely morning, May 7th, 2015. And this is the kickoff of the now very popular Tech Foundation 1, SEO, Persuasion, and Business Architecture. So much more than SEO. And we are really excited to welcome a lot of new members. This event is getting quite popular and fun. And as always, even though it is a perpetual mastermind group, meaning you can always jump back in, you can always learn more as we add more content, as we build stronger and stronger software and process integration with this to roll with the constant changing environments on the web. We are really, really excited to have new students with us today. That being said, let's make sure that everybody can hear me so that I'm not talking to myself. Give us a 1 if you can hear me. Just a 1 so that I know that you can actually hear me. Loud and clear. Hello, Bill. It's good to see you. Rod, Jason, I'd like to welcome Jason to the community, and Shane as well. Marvin, it's good to see you as well. Tony, certified advisor, it's good to see you on the call as well. It was really great hanging out with you for 6 days. Grant, good to see you. And there's more people still coming in. So today is introduction. Matt's going to go through what to expect. We'll answer any and all of your questions that you might have. I know we have a lot of new folks as well that are wondering the exact process that they're going to be going through. This is not like any of the other training systems that you've been on. I've talked to a few of you who've come out of other training systems. It's like 1 or 2 webinars or a course that you unlock and watch the videos. And some of you might even have been introduced to some of our early products, maybe something that I did off of the Warriors Forum or something like that, where it's a PDF and a few videos. This is not that. This is intense. You are in a university level training system that goes on for the duration. Should you, however long you would decide to be a part of this community. We have people that actually earn millions of dollars who still attend our courses. We have people that are just starting out. I'd say they're probably more like a year and a half in. The absolute beginner. If you are an absolute beginner and you are in this course, we generally try to make sure that people have a year or 2 of experience online. But just let me know if, we don't always catch everything. Is there anybody in here who's just now logged into a computer, has never actually turned on a computer before? Or let's say you've been online for maybe a couple of months and barely know how to install a WordPress blog. Give me a 1, just if there's anybody who would consider themselves an absolute beginner.
That would be me.
Oh, Sue, okay. Right. And Marvin is also giving me a 1, so that would mean that he's also the beginner mind. Okay. It's all right, Marvin. We'll work with you. That's not actually true. We've seen what he can do, so. All right, good. So I just wanted to welcome everybody. Looks like we do have Sue Bell on the line. A quick introduction to everybody I think is appropriate because they are too modest to introduce themselves. This is an amazing team. Sue Bell is among many, many things, highly skilled. What I like to use is military level software architect. She programmed for the Department of Defense and has many, many other types of projects like that under her belt, which we won't get into here, but that is not all the skills she has. She is highly skilled at business and understanding. She's kind of like, for me, the ultimate Shark Tank test for bad ideas that I've had throughout the years. And and so it's really, really good that everybody has a mentor outside of just online technology. We call this business architecture. Business architecture is a significant part of being successful online, not just SEO and technical foundation. So we cover a lot of that, and that's what I really consider the Shark Tank test. Thanks to Sue, I've been able to, over the last 10 years, as I watched her earn and make millions of dollars for our company, and along with Matt, who's somebody that I consider to be Mr. ROI. He makes sure that the numbers work and that we're actually keeping control of our IT debt. The better you get, the better you better get is one of the mottos I really like. So when you start making lots of one of the things I like to, because a lot of you will begin to make large amounts of money. And that's actually when some of your challenges begin. You have to know how to incorporate that, how to integrate that. So that is Sue. She is CEO of several of our companies and oversight for all the software design, such as Social Explosion, our various plugins, and has worked with Matt to develop DWS Any Silo Builder over the last few years. So then there's Matt. Matt, hopefully you've all been introduced to him. He's been here in the beginning of the development of DWS Any Silo Builder, which is becoming a beast. It's a significant part of the upcoming new training, sellreportsfirst.com, where we will show you how some of our agencies are actually selling reports up front. Just a quick survey. How many of you are actually running an SEO or digital marketing agency? Give me a 1 and a 2 if you are not. Just give me some kind of indication either way. As more and more of you come into the room here, I just want to. Okay, Jason, that's good to know, because I wanted to make sure, Jason, that you were aware that I did get your Skype and you were asking me some questions, like, again, sort of the Shark Tank test kind of stuff. And yeah, you have some decisions to make. You have a professional career, and these are not always easy questions. Okay, so it looks like we have, what would you say, about half and half there, Sue? Half of, well, it looks like most people are CPA. Okay, Shane, you're doing CPA.
Mostly
Okay.
not.
Mostly not. Okay, so not a ton of agencies here. That's good to know. But some of you are dabbling with that idea. Okay, so we'll keep that in mind. Again, back to Matt DeCruz. Matt is a really crazy intelligent guy. Some of you have seen my interviews recently. There is an audio interview with Matt. If you just so you know your trainer, this is some really powerful stuff. He has a background in complex manufacturing and process line. He's also got a huge background in IT and worked with call centers for mass local leads aggregation in the UK and abroad. He's also, I'd say, pretty much the core brain behind localleadsempire.com. If you're a certified advisor or you've unlocked all of our training or you plan on it, Local Leads Empire is a huge course, and much of the prerequisite and required training will be in this training course. So we're going to go through everything today, what to expect over the next 8 weeks. And I'm really, really excited to have all of you. And with that, I'm going to step back and let Matt kind of guide you through the process. And I want to thank my amazing team and just get out of the way. And if you have any questions, I'll be manning this questions window here and try to make sure that we get every part of your questions answered. Thank you.
How's it, everyone? Thanks, Russ. Thanks for the introduction. How's it, Sue? Morning, everybody. Can you guys give me a 1 if you can hear me clearly, please? Just want to check the audio check quick. Okay, sweet. So you can all hear me nicely. Right, so let's get stuck right in. So what is Tech Foundations, and why have we sort of put this course together and made it a prerequisite? Well, to summarize this very briefly, what we do in Tech Foundations is we take what it is that you want to sell, and we teach you processes and methods and routines that you can use to essentially break down what it is that you want to sell, then take the information that you collate and then put it into a systemized process where at the end of the process, by going through the steps, you generate and build out your website, which then can extrapolate out to become a network if need be. Okay, and the foundational stages we're teaching you through this process is a modular system where you build one block at a time. So essentially what we're doing is, with our ring system, we start at the bottom, we define what we want to do, and then we discover what the pains are, then we discover what our keywords are, and then from there we start building our site, and then on top of that we start doing our persuasion on top of that. So you can see we're stacking layer by layer by layer. So on my screen, if you look over here, the first week we're going to go through is success through definition, which we're going to chat about today. But then in week 2, we're going to talk about solutions to the pains, and this is a chat that Russell does with us, where he takes us through how to look at the market, how to find the pains in the market, and then how to speak to those pains. Okay, because remember, people buy because they want something. There's something that's driving them, and Russell gets really into that. Then in week 3, either Sue or myself take you through Kraken and TLKT, depending on what you guys are working on, and we show you how to take those panes, how to extract the keywords, and then how to start finding the themes where your market personalities actually exist. Okay, so we take you through the whole market analysis process. So what you'll probably find in this course is that we don't do keyword research. That's one of the things that are not discussed yet because it's not important. We focus more on themes and markets and understand how people use language. And the key to this whole process is when you understand the language that your market personality uses in connection and congruent to the pains that they have, that allows us to start building the foundational layers of our actual website, which is the WR1, and then our social presence, which is the WRS1. Okay, so WR1 is your transaction engine. This is your money site. The WRS1 is your social profiles. It's the personas that are associated to your company that surround the WR1 that you're building. So then in week 4, what we do is we basically start building out our silos, and this is where we'll take you through Domain Web Studio, and I'll show you guys how to use DWS and how to rapidly build out your silo architecture. And then basically week 5, this is where we start importing our themes into WordPress, and we start talking about the persuasion layer. This is where once we build out our website framework, we start dropping our copy on top of it, and this is where we speak about persuasion. Okay, then week 6, this is where we increase our reach, and this is where we introduce you guys to the one feed system and social explosion. And then in week 7, this is where we launch our site. This is where we get it indexed. And when we say we launch the site, we're doing a soft launch. We're basically getting it live, and this is where we start testing our infrastructure that we set up. So we'll be looking at our analytics. We'll make sure that our sales funnels are working. We'll make sure that our PayPal buttons are working and we can actually buy directly from our website. And week 8, test and measure. This is where we start watching to see that the traffic that we've creating starts coming to our site, that analytics is actually picking our movements up as we move through our sites. And that's when I'll give you guys a dashboard I've designed for you to basically help you rapidly see what's going on with your website. So that's roughly what we're going to be covering over the next 8 weeks. So by the end of the 8 weeks, hopefully we've got your website up and it's up and running. And then in take 2, that's where we start talking about traffic. How do we drive more traffic to our site that we built here? Okay. Can you give me a 1 if that's clear, or a 2 if it's not? And I'd just like to address any of those things right now if it's not clear. Just want to make sure that we've got this process ironed out clearly for you guys so you know what to expect over the next 8 weeks. Okay, sweet. So everyone's got it. Right. So guys, what I want to say up front with this whole process is with our system, everything is built in layers, okay? It's a stackable system. And we run through different stacks and we stack information on top of each other and we move our way up. And from this information that we collate, we can then expand and build out the entire network. And this is what we do in our certified courses 1, 2, 3, and 4. We take you through the entire process of actually setting up the whole network. And then by that time, if you come to certification, then we take you into the advanced network processes that we teach you and we expose you to more things. Okay, so let's get started. This is week 1, and this is basically where we talk about success through definition. And excuse me, the reason why success through definition is the very first stage is if you're not clear on what you want to build and you're not clear on what you want to sell, you'll never get your website finished. That's just basically what it means. You'll run around in a circle for ages. You'll always have this open loop and this gray spot that will stop you from moving forward. So this is why with week 1, we start defining what it is that we want to sell. So what we got here, I'm just going to open this image up quickly for us so we can see the process. And in week 1, what we're going to do is we're going to do what deck are we selling. And this process should take you roughly about 4 hours when you start. And what we're going to do in this document is we're going to look at what is your product, what are the components that make up the product, and who do you think the person is that will potentially buy this product. Okay, that's what you're basically going to cover. And I'm just going to open this document so you can actually have a quick look at it. Put it over there. Well, that's opening. And then the second thing we're going to do this week is we're going to define our market. Who's familiar with the term market? I just want to make sure that our terminology that we use through this process is clear. Do you guys understand what we mean when we talk about a market? Can you give me one or two if you're not clear? Just so I can give you a brief definition of what we're speaking about. Okay, so there's a two there. Cool. At Network Empire, we take a big look at the entire market. So a market could be, for example, in this course, we're going to use SASE, which is a live business. We're going to use that as a case study, okay? Just as a reference. So as we're moving through, we can always look at the site, we can see what's happening, and you can see the changes I make to the site as we move along. The market is essentially the place where you're going to sell your product or your service in. So for example, in SASE, it's a hair salon, okay? So that's the business. The market they trade in is weddings, wedding hair, and wedding makeup, and they're makeup artists. So they're doing hair and makeup and weddings. Those are the three markets that they actually trade in. Now, when we come to week 3, we start drilling into these markets and we start looking for the themes and the keywords that actually hold the traffic, hold the interest, and are closely related to what he's selling. So at this stage, we want to start thinking about our product, and we want to think about what we're selling, and we want to start defining what market it is. Okay, so in Sassy's case, it's the hair market and the wedding market. Those are the two markets they're working in. The segments of this market are the locations, or the, how can I put it? For example, wedding hair is a segment of the wedding market, and makeup artist is a segment of the makeup market, and bridal hair is a segment of the bridal market. Does that clarify that for you guys? Can you give me one if you're just clear on that? Okay, cool. Great, Jason's got it. So what we're doing is we're defining our market, and when we define our market, what that does is it opens up a lot of ideas for us. So we're going to look at it briefly today. So the next thing we do is once we understand what markets we're going to be selling in, we can then start defining the market lifecycle, and that should take you about an hour. And this is a very important step. This is one of the things I always do before I start working in a project, because what it does is upfront, within an hour or 2 hours, I can quickly see how the market's laid out, who I'm selling to, and what potentially they will buy. Okay, and there's an additional layer that you can add to that as well, which opens up additional products and services that can be offered, which we'll look at shortly. Okay, once we define the market lifecycle, then we can start identifying who the market personalities are. So when we speak about a market personality, essentially what we're doing is we're speaking about a group of like-minded people who are looking for a particular product or service. And that's essentially what we mean when we say market personalities. We're saying, okay, this group of people typically will buy this type of product for this type of price in this type of location. Okay, and when we break it down into these steps and we define these processes, these people's buying habits, it makes it much easier for us to actually come and design our site later on, because we are clear on what we need to speak. Now remember, when you're building your website, you're essentially creating a communication portal, and through the words and the language that people use, we can create the architecture of the site targeting specific keywords, okay, but then we can mesh our business architecture into it, and we can also mesh our persuasion architecture into that structure that we're creating, and that's what gives us our silo architecture. It's a three-dimensional perspective of the website. Okay. Then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to identify any tangent markets. Okay, and the reason why we look for tangent markets is we want to sort of get an idea of where these people are potentially coming from or going to. And typically the tangent markets help us think about what we're going to build out in our WR2s. Now, in this course, we're not going to cover the WR2s and the WR3s in our WebRing system. Okay, let me just pull that screen up as well so we can actually just look at that. That's one. Sorry, Russ, what's the, it's one rep tool? That's the one there. This is our WebRing system, guys. So in this course, we're going to cover the WR1 and the WRS1. This is the most important foundational structure. Okay, this is where our business sits. In other courses, in Tech 2, Certification 2, Certification 3, Certification 4, we speak about the WR3s, the WR2s. We cover all those. But in this course, this is your transaction engine and your broadcasting engine. This is your business. This is your money side. This is the stuff that you want to get right, because everything that you do as you expand out in the WebRing system all feeds back down into the architecture that you're building and learning about now. Can you guys give me just a 1 if that explanation was clear on the WebRing systems and what we're going to do and what tech are we selling? I just want to make sure that you guys are keeping up with me. Okay, Marvin's saying, yeah, is 20 million competitive pages still the defining bar for our market? Marvin, typically what we do is we say a market can be any size. I wouldn't break it down to a specific size like 20 million, but we'll cover that in week 3. We'll start looking at the actual silos and all that kind of stuff and the sizes of the pages for markets. What I want you guys to focus on now at week 1 and week 2 is not to think about the technical. Don't think about phrase match, traffic, searches, PPC, cost per click, all that SEO stuff that you know. Just put on the shelf for now. Just leave it there. What I need you guys to focus on in week 1 and 2 is 1, the market personality, 2, what are you selling, and 3, what is the language that these people use to describe the pains that they have, and what is the solution, and what is the language they use. We want to focus on the language. How do people express what it is that they want? That's the most important stuff we have to do week 1. Back to the course, what we have here, can you guys just give me a 1 if you can see this clearly? I just want to show you the process, what we're going to be doing now. We're at week 1, and the 2 steps we're going to do this week is what the heck are you selling and defining the market. Okay. Week 2, we're going to find the pain in the market. We're going to look for the FAQs and the SAQs. We're going to use Pain Finder. That's one of our tools to find pains. And then you're basically going to submit keywords to me, okay? And what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to actually drill out the keywords for you in Kraken. Okay, so you'll get a week's free access to Kraken. We'll do the initial drills for you. We'll prep and do everything for you guys. And then from that point onwards, that's when I'm going to start having the first consultations with you guys. So I want you to do basically week 1's work, week 2's work, and then before you give me your keywords, I want to jump on a call with you guys. We're going to take an hour. We're going to discuss your product. We're going to discuss your business. We're going to discuss the pains, and we're going to choose the best keywords, okay, to start doing your drills in Kraken. Okay, so I'm not going to go beyond that point, but this is essentially what we're going to do in the first part of this course over here. Okay, right, so let's have a look at this. Success through definition. I'll put that over there. What the heck are you selling? Okay, what we've done at Network Empire is we've created a process called ISDNA. Now, you're probably going to hear a lot of DNA type of acronyms coming out through this course. And when we speak about DNA, it's basically all it means is the building blocks that something's made up of. Okay, so ISDNA is the industry solution DNA, the building blocks of your industry solution. The keyword DNA, which you'll hear about later on, these are the keywords which are the building blocks of your silo architecture. Okay, and so we go on, we're going to be hearing about DNA. Okay, so this is how the product's basically going to flow. Okay, the first thing we do is when we look at our product, what are we selling? Okay, what pains does this product solve? Okay, how do people express the pain? How do people search for your product? And what keywords define those expressions? That's all we have to think about right now. It's as simple as that. Okay, so that's our building blocks. Once we've got that done, then we're going to basically go out and if you want to find out more about the ISDNA process, you can follow this link. We've got quite a detailed explanation over there that Russell's put out for you guys. Then once you've got those basic points, open up this document over here, what you're selling. It's a Google Doc. Make a copy of it. Okay. And fill in as much as you can. If there's things that you can't fill in, don't worry. We'll deal with it when we have our call. But please don't come to me with an empty spreadsheet and expect me to fill in the answers for you, because I won't do it. Okay, I'm here to assist you guys, but I need you guys to think about it. Now, all we're doing here is we're looking at basically 7 questions. And the questions are, who's your target market? What problems does your product solve? What are the benefits of the product? What questions are being asked about your product? And who's your ideal customer? So by the time you get to question number 6, you should have an idea of who you're selling to. Okay, and I'll show you how this all works and as we go through the steps. Okay. Now, the next thing we're going to look at is who are we selling to? Just going to open that one up there, and let's just get this one. In this video here, how to define your market personality in 15 minutes. Basically, I created a video to show you guys how to go through the process, and I've designed a flow chart that takes you step by step through week 1 and week 2. So if you follow this process over here, you can see exactly how it goes, and I explain it all in the video here. It's a short little video which you can watch. But I want to talk about defining the market, okay? And when we define our market, can you guys quickly just give me a 1 if you can see this? It's quite important that we look at this, because this essentially, once you've done this image, it's going to help you really look at what you are selling in a very visual, practical way. Now, the way I defined this and drew this was I used PowerPoint, and I just put a circle in, and I thought about the business, and I thought about it. Who comes to my business? How old are they? Or what experience do they have? And why are they coming to the business to buy our product or service? Now, this market definition was done for SASE, and when we looked at this process, essentially what I did is I sat down with the ladies at the salon and I said to them, okay, well, tell me who your students are. Sorry, not your students, tell me who your clients are. And we ended up with basically 5 groups of people, and you can see they range from 16 to 45. Now, obviously, there's clients that come in that are younger than 16, like kids. They come in with their moms, but they're not the drivers of the business. They don't bring in big money. So what we've done here is when we looked at the market life cycle, we started thinking, okay, we're starting off with the kids that are at high school. The high school proms are a big thing. They spend a lot of money. They come for hair. They come for makeup. They spend at least $100 to $200 for one sitting, and this happens every single year over a period of 2 months as the schools in the area have their prom nights. So this is a seasonal product that impacts the business. Okay. Typically, the people will come back afterwards. When they've been to a salon, they've enjoyed the experience, they'll come back in and they'll go again. But this is one of the defining points for the business in the year. We get a lot of people between 8 and 24. They're typically students. They just come in to look cool. They want the latest trend, the latest hairstyle. Okay. They spend basically the money they have. Then we've got the 25s to 34-year-olds. They're business owners, working professionals, mums, wives, bridesmaids. Okay. 35 to 44. And then 45 plus. Now, when I've defined this and I've drawn it out, what I essentially was doing was I was trying to figure out, okay, who spends, out of this whole group of all these market personalities, which group will spend the most money with the business? And what product or service do they typically want? And after speaking to the business owners, the groups between 35 and 44 and 25 and 34 essentially are the ones that come to salon and spend the most money. They're coming for a blow dryer. They're coming typically they come in every 6 to 16 weeks continuously, so we've got continuity. They're coming back over and over again. They like to keep themselves serviced and done right. And they're the ones who've got the money and they spend the most money because they're coming either with their kids and they all get their hair and stuff done, or they're coming with their friends. And then we've got the older ladies who come in but they're not the big. The biggest ones for us are 35 to 44. So can you see how I've basically identified who my market personalities are that I have to deal with for the website? Can you give me a 1 if you're clear on that? A 2 if it's not clear. Now the cool thing is, when we look at this picture and we think about it, now we know that our demographic, we know we're dealing roughly between 25 and 35. That's our client base that makes the most money in the business, right? Now we can start thinking, okay, what products and what services do they actually want? Okay, so when these girls come in for the proms, they want their hair done, they want their makeup done. They might want accessories, they might want dresses. So for doing lead generation, you can pass them on to someone who'll give you a kickback. You might be able to sell stuff in the hair salon. The people between 18 and 24, they're typically just coming in for style, nothing else really. Okay. The people between 25 and 35, these people are typically getting married and they're working professionals and they like to look their best and they buy product and they buy all sorts of things. So when you look at the ladies, they got all the shampoos that they buy makeup, they buy the skin products, they come in and they do their hair every other time. So there's a lot of stuff that you can actually get sold here, and they come back time and time again. There's a lot of continuity. So there's a lot more money spent between these ladies. So in our market definition, we can start branching off this one and say, okay, this person will buy shampoo, brand. She'll buy makeup, brand. They'll buy hair extensions, brand. They'll buy a haircut and blow, brand. Okay, and we work our way all the way through and we see, okay, what exactly do these people want? And what categories do these products fall under? Okay, so that's the second step I go through. The third step I go through is, okay, we built a website and there's typically two types of transactions that will happen. Either they're buying something digital, which is not the case for these ladies, or they're going to basically phone in and book a consultation, or they're going to send an email. So for this transaction engine, which is our WRON1 website, the transactions that are going to take place are basically bookings, which happen through email or phone calls. So those are the two things we need to track. Okay, now that we know what we have to track, we can start thinking about, okay, how do we get the most out of this market for one lead? And this is what led us into the wedding, hair, and makeup market. Okay, so we looked at the whole market, we looked at what all these people do, what they buy, what they want, and then from the business perspective, we thought ourselves, okay, how do we get the most bang for our buck for every single lead that we can get in? Okay, and in the wedding market, basically for every one lead that you're getting from the bride, you're going to get the mother of the bride, 45 and plus. We're going to get the bridesmaids, 35 to 25 to 18 to 24. You're going to get that whole group coming in. And typically for that one lead, you're going to get anywhere between 3 and up to 8 people coming in for a hair, a makeup, and the full works for that wedding day. And typically what happens is when they come in, they get trials. Okay, so there could be 2 trials that happen before the wedding. So you're actually getting 3 cuts and services done to the lady's hair just off that one lead. So when you look at the lifetime value of that actual customer and that lead, what it brings to the business, it's a very, very rich lead, because that one lead leads to basically 7 people being exposed to your business, of which probably 2 or 3 will stick and go on for however long the salon is, if they're in the actual area. Can you guys give me a 1 if you're clear and understand what I'm trying to express here? Because this is really, it's one of the key points that you must understand. If you can get this right up front, but defining this, then defining and then designing your site and choosing the words that you use in the site and the language becomes super easy because you're super clear. Okay. Plus, the site that you build is going to be highly focused on where the money flows through the market. Yeah, Bill's saying one is define your audience. Exactly. That's what you want to do. When you're clear and you can see visually, you actually put a picture there and you can see this person, then it becomes real. And when you build your website and you design the architecture for it, you can design it from the business perspective and you can design it from your market personality's perspective. Okay, so when we get to week 7 and week 8, when we look at the actual analytics, I'm going to take you guys into SASE's Google, and I'm going to show you how we use demographics to segment our market and to see who's looking at what on the website and how long they're staying. And it's quite interesting that I can see clearly how much males are looking at the website, how long they spend on site and where they're looking. I can see exactly by demographic, by age group, who's reading, who's browsing through quickly, and I'll take you through all that stuff in week 8 and show you how we can take that information, translate it, optimize the website, make it more efficient, and create more conversions. Okay, so this is what defining the market life cycle is all about. It's just becoming clear on who you're selling to, and then trying to think, okay, how can I maximize every single sale? So for the girls that are coming for the prom dress, if I had to build a WL2 for these people, I'd essentially create a site that specializes in prom dresses. And I'd connect up a few businesses that do it, and I'll either get them to pay me a monthly fee to advertise on that site, or I'd sell them the lead for the people that come on, or I'd make some other deal. For the 18 to 24-year-olds, that market's not as weird. They just come in for their hair to get cut. The students, they don't spend too much. But this is where they start falling in love and they want to get married and they want to settle down. But our golden circle is essentially these people over here. This is the people that drive the business. This is where the money flows. And trust me, they spend a lot of money when they come in. Okay, so that's what defining the market life cycle is all about. Okay, so go through this year, have a look through this, watch the videos. I take you through the videos and I show you how I use Quantcast to define a market life cycle. This is when we looked at gold. Quite an interesting exercise that Quantcast doesn't really give you information all the time. And when you're using these type of demographic type of sites, the information or the data is very sparse. It's not consistent. And what you basically got to do is just grab snippets as you're moving through and looking, and then compile it all together at the end and come up with your conclusion of who you're dealing with. And I'll sort of take you through that whole process over there. It's like in 6 minutes, I quickly found out just by looking at this, looking at what the most popular websites were. 1, identified the look and feel of the site. 2, identified that the guys that are interested in gold IRA, they're typically between the ages of 55 plus. These are the guys who are spending money in it, and what they were looking for is Forex information. This is quite interesting to see that. It's just how I extrapolated the information from what I looked at. Okay, so this market life cycle is key to everything, and it ties directly into what the heck are we selling. It ties directly into the pain finder. What are the pains of the market? And when we look at the bridal market, the biggest pain that they have, and the pain that drives them, it's the pain behind the pain that Russell speaks about in week 2, is they all want good memories. They don't want their makeup running. They don't want their hair falling loose. They don't want their dress resting. They want to be the star of the day. They don't want the bridesmaids looking better than they look. It's all these things, and it all boils down to they want good memories. They want to have wonderful memories for their wedding day. And this is why when we understand that information, we can position SASE as the experts to make sure that those dreams become true. Okay, so can you see how I've sort of spoken you through the whole market story, and we've come up to what the pain is. We understand what the pain is behind the pain, and then all of a sudden the big idea for a website is that last phrase I made to you, where we position ourselves to be the best that deals with solving their pains. Okay, so that's what we do at Market Lifecycle. Okay, so Do you guys have any questions at this point in time? I know this is week one. Typically, this is a brief overview of what you're going to go through the whole process. But if you've got any questions on what they're going to be selling, who are we selling to, and defining the market lifecycle, could you just put them in the chat room now so we can actually have a chat about this? Because this is really important. This is, if you spend a day just really having a good think about this, you'll very quickly realize whether your product's good or whether you've got the wrong type of product, okay? And the result of identifying that now up front means you're going to save yourself all the IT debt, the server, the domain, the hours put in building a site, the outsourcing fees if you're doing that, creating all your social accounts. You're going to eliminate all that cost up front rather than going through all the pain and doing all that stuff and then realizing later on, my product's a dud or I've positioned it wrong.
Yeah,
Do
exactly.
you guys have any questions at this point?
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry,
So,
Russ.
no, it's good. You did great on that. So it's not always, think about the types of things, it's good to think about the type of things that who you're speaking to influences. Like, for instance, there's been times when my target market wasn't what I thought my target market was, or there was more, I was speaking more to a male audience than I was a female audience, or, most of the times we think we know that, but we need to make sure. Now, there's two types of variables here. Some of you already know who you're talking to because you already have a list. You have a general idea. For instance, you've already got a business up and running. Matt's wife, for instance, knows the market because she spends time day in and day out with all kinds of people throughout the market. And she knows what they tend to feel, what they think about, what they're worried about. She knows their pain, and in a lot of instances, the pain behind the pain, which is a skill set. That's a people skill set. When you're when you're a bit distanced from it, and maybe you're breaking new ground into a new market, and you don't really have that avatar, that person, then you have to take some measures to figure out. Let me ask you guys here, guys and gals, give me a one if you have a pretty good idea that if you closed your eyes and you visualized who you were selling your product to, presuming you have a product, that you have a pretty good visualization of what that person looks like. And a two, if you have no clue, like you're drawing this kind of fuzzy blank, there's just a blank profile. Give me a one if you had to draw a cartoon character or actually just a picture of a real person and put it on your wall like Jonathan Mizell recommends, like put your target person, an avatar of somebody who represents the demographic that you would know what that would look like. Give me a one. And if you're really unsure, which is okay, by the way, give me a two. If you really have no idea, that's very fuzzy. Oh, I don't have my thing here. Hang on a second. Okay, good. So we're about half and half. All right, that's okay. So one of those things, let me just see what Shane was saying. Rod, you asked, how do you determine if a product is a good product to sell? Now, we do cover that a whole lot next week. Remember, this is mostly a meet and greet, so I would encourage you, Matt's going to provide basic homework assignments today, but it's okay to peek ahead a little bit, okay? And the process of going through and determining whether a product is good to sell, we have a specific process, Rod, especially if it's brand new, you're breaking new ground. And we have a lot of different people in this class. Some are breaking new ground, some have a real clear understanding of their market. The simplest form we call the $4 million market research questions, which I believe we have I think we're going to cover some of that next week.
Yeah, next week,
okay.
Week two.
Yeah, the bottom line is that there should be, it's a painkiller rather than a vitamin, meaning you're solving a problem that people have. And the second parameter is that problem that you're solving is innovative enough to have distinction. In other words, you're not going to blend in with a sea of commodities. Okay, you're not trading commodities. Okay, and what I mean by that is, let's say you're taking an Amazon course on how to go to China and find products, right? And it's a very, very funny thing because I have friends in the United States who run these big Amazon courses, like Amazon Selling Machine. I've known Jason for years, and these types of things. Like it's a weird thing that everybody, if somebody gives an example when they're training a course, like for instance flashlights, then everybody goes to China and does flashlights and brings flashlights back. Okay, I'm not saying flashlights don't solve a pain. I mean, when it's dark out, they really can, and you could position it as a camping light. You could position it, for instance, as an emergency survival kit for end of the worlders, what we call doomsdayers, what we call survivalism. Huge market, by the way, and a huge painkiller market. But the problem is that there's thousands upon thousands of flashlight companies. You can go down to Walmart and buy them. You can go to Target, right? So you better have a really killer ISDNA or invention or industry solution that's distinct and patented in order to do really, really well on Amazon. Because what's happening if you go to Amazon, you look for flashlights on Amazon Prime, you have thousands of different kinds of flashlights. Now, you have to create that distinction. So when you go through the $4 million market research questions, those 4 questions, it should be distinct, and people should also be searching for it online, and you don't have a huge amount of competition, and it solves a pain, or your technology is uniquely distinct in solving a pain. Hopefully that will give you a pretty basic introduction, Rod, of how to determine that. And again, we're going to get into that really, really deeply next week, and do feel free to sneak ahead. I'm not the kind of person that is like, traditional school systems that say, you must not look ahead or, try to look. It's okay to do that. I never really got anywhere in life, or I certainly didn't make a ton of money by doing exactly what my teachers told me to do. In this case, however, we do want you to follow along the lines with the coaching just so we can be most supportive to you. But the bottom line is that the vitamin or the painkiller distinction, it's always surprised me to find out that is not widely known. And it's actually not cliche. It's not a problem if you're selling vitamins. For instance, if you have a new vitamin product that you're trying to bring to market. I have a friend right here in Scottsdale who has decided, let me give you an example. I'll just share this with you guys since we're an intimate group, and it also will give me an opportunity to vent. I have a friend of mine here in Scottsdale who runs the clinic where my fiance works. It's a big health and wellness clinic. And he has decided to break into the fat removal cream market, which is it's a cream that you put on your body and it gets rid of fat. And it helps, deal with it has this metabolic process and this and that. And in his naivete, he's decided to enter into this market, and he's all excited about it. And every day he spends time hitting people up, sometimes inappropriately. But, hey, what do you think about this logo? Or what do you think about that logo? And he's got the cart before the horse. And what he's done is he spent $20,000 first developing the product, not testing it. In other words, manufacturing it, and then focusing on a logo. And what he didn't do is he didn't take our course first and foremost. And it really breaks my heart because he's not somebody that I know well. He's just somebody that I know about. And because my fiance works in uses the building that he's in. But the challenge is that he's done everything exactly backwards. He's not determined whether it's a vitamin or a painkiller. He knows that it's a painkiller, but again, he's not creating a clear distinction yet about it, and he hasn't really determined the efficacy of the product. That's one thing that I would really caution you guys is like, try whenever possible to drink your own Kool-Aid. Okay. In other words, I know they say, I don't like the phrase, try your own dog food. I think that's kind of gross. I'd rather have it be something nicer than that. But the point is that, guys, if at all possible, the one thing that I can't help you with is if you decide to sell a product that sucks. Like Matt and Sue and I, we have helped thousands of students worldwide over the last decade. But one thing that we really can't magically wave a magic wand and help you sell, help your customers not return things that actually suck. Okay, so that's the one thing that I'm really cautious about in things like his product. And then another thing is that he's got this idea that with his skin cream, that he's magically going to put it on the internet. And, it's really interesting. Somebody gets this idea that you're an SEO, that you know how SEO, and in their minds, this is very interesting because I try to hide out. I don't really let a lot of people locally know what I do. but somehow wind got out that my name was associated with SEO, God forbid, which I really don't want it to be. But in his mind, SEO is magic. You'll find this with a lot of students, and a lot of customers and clients. If you have SEO, then suddenly magically your product is going to fly off the shelves because you can get #1 rankings, and it hasn't really passed the Shark Tank test, or you don't have distribution. SEO is like the last thing really that you need to think about once you're formulating a decent product. And so that's my caution to you, is that what he didn't look online, number 4 in the $4 million market research questions, is are there few people, or are there few companies or people out there selling what you have? And if there are a lot of them, it's not that it's the end of the world, but it's a real problem if you have less than 2 or 3 out of those 4 things. Okay, it's not for example, if it was only a vitamin and nobody's looking for it and you have lots of competition, those are 3 strikes. And you really, really want to be cautious with that. The 4th one is it an irrational passion? 4th one is irrational passion means, is there something crazy? Is there a market of raving lunatics who just passionately, an example of that would be golf. Okay, golf is what I consider a irrational passion. I have plenty of friends. In fact, I'm looking outside over my office at the golf course right here in Scottsdale. And there's people out there in the sun, like it's too hot to be out today, and they're playing golf, and and they use really, really expensive products, and they'll buy anything and do anything. Another example is guitar. And actually, Matt and I discovered that weddings are an irrational passion, meaning the women go slightly on the side of insane when it comes to their weddings. They start to lose their minds just a little bit. Okay.
There is no thing as a limit on a credit card.
Oh no, there's not. There's no limits, and Dad pays for it. And a quick way, we'll go over this next week. I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole because I do want to because Rod asked, I don't want anybody to feel uncomfortable. I want you to know what's coming. Is that if you go to magazines.com and there's a magazine that is closely related or even marginally related to your topic, then it's an irrational passion. If you can create a magazine and a magazine can thrive around it, that means people just kind of lose their mind around the topic. And so what's weird about weddings is there is not only weddings magazines, there's subsets of weddings. There's wedding hair magazines. There's wedding cake magazines. There's a magazine.
Wedding dress.
Yeah, wedding dress. There's wedding ring. I mean, there's magazines dedicated to subsets of the wedding market. I mean, there's wedding planner magazines. So
yeah, that's mad.
And that's number 4 on the $4 million market research question. So peek ahead and take a little bit. If you're in doubt, if you haven't chosen a product yet, this is a really excellent time for you to go through what we call the Shark Tank test, which really is the $4 million market research question, starting really clearly with, is it a vitamin or a painkiller? And if it's both a vitamin and a painkiller, start thinking about positioning it on the side of painkiller to start. An example of a vitamin or a painkiller would be a backup hard drive. For example, an external hard drive that you'd invented or are selling or something like that. It's a vitamin until you need it, until your computer fails, and all of a sudden it really rapidly becomes a painkiller, right? So there's ways to position both things. Now, that's useful because you need to start looking at framing or how we will position your product. And what's interesting is when you know that you're going to position something as a painkiller and that you know that it could be one or the other, it does help you start to get rid of the people that you might not want to target first and really focus on your kickoff or your product launch target market. And that'll be very, very helpful. Well, let's move on also to Jason's question. He says, hey, Jason, is it okay if I read this out loud, or would you like to keep it? Okay. Jason is saying, hi, Matt. I'm an eye doctor with my own office, but I'm looking to sell it at some point for several reasons to do SEO full time. Can you do this process for SEO consulting, or do you just suggest I do it in a market I know currently, which is eye care? Second question, would this be a process that you go through when you take on? This is a great question, Jason, and I think you'll be really turned on by our upcoming course, sellreportsfirst.com, where Mike Clay, Matt, Sue, and myself will be addressing these topics. When you position yourself directly as an SEO is a little bit different than when you position yourself as a digital marketing company. we are teaching our students to make money up front doing that. So, we'll get into more and more of what that will be, and that'll be part of the members area. And, it is something that we'll start to bring more and more into this course as well. If you are an agency, we're going to be really focused. The purpose of certification level 1 is to make sure that you've at least gone through the arduous process at least once, the comprehensive, scaled process of building a money site at a deep level that includes persuasion architecture, not just SEO technical architecture, which is very challenging as well the first time, and business architecture, which is really the stuff we're talking about now. After going through these 3 things once, there's something that happens to your brain by the time you finish the process with Matt and the rest of the team. Something very strange happens. And very powerful. The 3 mysteries, these transparencies, this thing that seems like magic when you watch other people do it, and just, we don't ever launch a site unless it makes us millions of dollars. That's what we prefer or get into a business or break ground. And we want all of you to have that same safeguard, that same immune system, to really be able to recognize and look at all the variables and get rid of almost all the variables. And the more variables there are, actually, the more variables in a business model, plan, or online venture that you have, and that you can become victim of, the actually less expert you are. And what will happen is, through the end of this course, you'll never be duped again. I mean, half of the process that Matt and Sue took me through in the early years was just the ability to recognize a good opportunity and ignore bad opportunities. And in a sense, then, just because you have the power to make a ridiculously high-ranking website and an incredibly converting web page and pick out awesome products that pass the Shark Tank test does not mean that you should. Okay, so you'll be able to decide if this opportunity or this business or this online venture even works for you. And if you decide, Jason, to then move into the actual agency approach, there's a little bit of a sidestep that Sue would have you take, that Matt would have you take, that still involves all of these methods and techniques. It's still required. I mean, to go through this course will make you such a powerful agency. I mean, it's just so different. And you'll see that as we get through this process. So to answer your question, yes, many of the techniques that Matt is showing and we'll be going through here, such as website style architecture, the technical white paper, everything that's going to be showing you can be sold off piece by piece to your clients up front for lots of money, not a little money, but lots of money. If you would like to do that to model. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah. Remember, guys, we said to you earlier on, our process is a stackable process, and each stack's got a price point associated with it. So as you're moving through the stackable process, there's a price tag as you're moving through it, which you charge the client as you go through the process, if you're doing client work.
Yeah, and so Jason, you don't, let me give a distinction here about what Jason said, Matt, real quick. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. You don't, if you decide to become a digital marketing agency or an SEO agency, depending upon which route you go, you don't have to stay in the niche that you know if you're doing that. It really doesn't matter. If, however, you are creating your own product online, and this is something that I'm speaking about years with experience, if you're creating your product online and you're going to launch that and you're looking for a platform to sell your new product, okay, then I do recommend that the first time you do things, that you at least pick something that you're interested in and somewhat knowledgeable about, or can become knowledgeable about during the kickoff. I've just noticed that if people get bored of something, or they can't stand the thing that they're distributing, unless they have a team, of course, who's doing it all for them, and there are people that I know that are that good with CPA offers and all those different types of things. For the most part, I watch them fail because they don't give a crap about what they're selling. Now, that's not true for everybody. It's not true for everybody. There are rare exceptions that I know in my industry, friends of mine who've made millions of dollars distributing through just purely mechanical and algorithmic processes, stuff that they can't stand or don't even want to research or think about, in fact, don't even know what it is. But almost always, those are the exceptions to the rules, not the standard. Does that make sense, Jason? Does that make sense, Jason? Yes, kind of. What was not clear about that, Jason? Can you go ahead and type that so I can clarify for you? I need it to be more than kind of. Give me a one if, just so I know, in case I'm not being clear or it was too confusing. Could somebody else let me know, one, you understood what I said, or two, it needs to be more clarified, which, by the way, it will be a lot more next week. But okay, some people. Jason, can you give me some, what you would like to, could you like me to clarify? That'd be helpful for me, because I realize that sometimes I ramble. Okay, Jason says, my passion would be to get out of eye care and do SEO full time. So would my focus at this point be SEO? It's a big transition from running an eye care business to becoming a professional technical analyst. Like the two worlds don't even meet. So there's no way I could answer that question. Like, we don't create merely and only SEO agencies, but we do help SEO and digital marketing agencies. So one thing I would consider, Jason, is that when we start moving more into sell reports first and show you how to use the tools that Matt is going to be doing, this course is really done for you when it comes to the keyword research, but he's going to be showing you what all the things mean. The model that we're creating, in fact, we're in the middle of creating this training, which allows you to sell those reports for your clients. It would be a little bit more comprehensive than just calling yourself an SEO. Selling rankings, for instance, is not a model that I personally recommend for people who have not been in the business for years. Because if you're selling rankings, you have to deliver on those rankings. And I'm not saying that you can't or that you wouldn't know how. It's just when you're first getting into the game right now, and you're moving from a professional medical or healthcare practitioner into pure technical analysis, in order for me to know whether that would be a good move, I would have to know what your experience is and how many rankings you've pushed and what kind of background you have. Jumping from that field into something as hardcore technical as SEO, I would probably not recommend. However, our sell reports first digital marketing model is probably something that you can do, because then you could pair up with somebody who can help you outsource the technical SEO. But I really can't recommend selling SEO directly up front to a beginner. Does that make sense, Jason? And Jason is also saying that your eye care business, you're not selling a product online, i.e. glasses or contacts. So I guess it would be for the service. Well, you could, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing the lead engine. So essentially you'd focus on lead. So here's the thing. The reason why I recommended start at the eye care is because you know it and make your development cycle easier.
Agreed.
But if you're selling the business and you've got leads being generated, you can take that website and take the revenue created through the leads, and you can actually sell the website as an asset.
That's right. And you know, Matt, you're right, Matt. He could also take the whole, and by the way, Jason, you got to have something to cut your teeth on. And this is by no means saying that, what you do with Matt in this course is the only thing you'll ever do. We just need something solid. I think both Matt and I think Sue too, would recommend that you start with your eye care business, and think about, there is somebody who I know is in the dental market, and he only focuses on cosmetic dentistry. He knows the cosmetic dentistry market really well. He's now turning that into a lead gen business. And Matt happens to be, a master at local leads. You guys will, we do have other training on that, but you still need to have this training to fully comprehend that. So Jason, my recommendation would be, look at that business model for now. Go through this training course with that model in mind. And then you can decide later, as you get through whatever levels of certification you're going through, to pivot. And if you decide to become a digital agency, we'll have that training for you. And, at a certain point, you might even be able to do both. So that's what I'd recommend.
You could play both roles. You could be the SEO for the eye care guy who's going to buy your business, essentially.
Yeah, actually.
So you'll be building the eye care website for him. So you can play both the sides of your own client.
Yeah, exactly.
It gives you the opportunity to experience both sides, the two different worlds in one go.
Yeah, I think it's great that you have Matt as an instructor, because that's his mastery. So you guys will be great. Any other questions before Matt moves on through this? I think we can probably move on.
Yeah. Shane had one question there. So I have a CPA offer advertise, and I think another pain, but should I explore something new for this
Uh,
course? My goal is to diversify my traffic sources. Just wondering if using something I may have preconceived ideas about is good to use for the first project of this course. Well, Shane, the thing is, when we started the project, we always got preconceived ideas. And
sure.
in week one, this is where we take those ideas and we define them and we start actually sharp bumping them and say, okay, is this actually solid? That's why we go through the process of what the heck are we selling, who are we selling to, and what's the market life cycle. The market life cycle is incredibly powerful because when you go through this process and you actually start attaching products to the personalities, you'll start finding other things you can sell as well. So the one thing that you thought you might sell, you might realize actually, that's actually more profitable. I'll look at that product there. It exposes everything. So this is why we define everything before we start. I mean, we look at the whole story, and then we map it out, and we look at it and say, okay, what do I want to start with? So in this case, with the Sassy business, when we actually looked at everything, we realized that generating wedding leads for wedding hair and makeup, was the most profitable route to start with, and that was our
Yeah.
first silo we built for the website.
Yeah. One thing I would suggest, Shane, I can trying to figure out how honest I should be about this. I think the rules for this community should be as honest as I feel like I need to be. Generally speaking, I have very dear friends that make 7 figures quarterly in CPA. Just to give you an idea of how challenging it is at what they do, is one of the rules of thumb is that less than 3% of CPA offers work, and then nailing the offer and the relationship and making sure you get it paid is another level. So I would say about the thing, if you've already run that offer, Shane, and you're getting paid, the organization is doing well, and you have a trusted back-end infrastructure where they're already paying you and you've confirmed that they pay you. Keeping in mind that CPA is not bad, there's nothing wrong with it. Like, I like to have CPA offers running and when I'm testing things around, but you're pretty much promoting somebody else's business. There's nothing wrong with that. And okay, so Shane is saying, yeah, he's got paid and it's confirmed. And you like the company that you're working with, Shane? They're getting you checks, direct deposits, or? Oh, okay, cool. That's actually half the battle. If you've got there's nothing worse than not knowing. You set up this site and you go through the Network Empire course and you have this CPA offer and you have the ultimate system set up, and then they don't pay you. And the good news is that whatever Matt's showing you how to build, you can just replace it with another offer, or you can, replace it with another thing. But I just want to make sure that you're aware that, some people jump in. CPA is not a bad place to start. In fact, you can hop business models if you've nailed those articles and those pains, as long as if you know in advance that you might switch the company or the product or the service within the infrastructure that Matt's teaching you, then be careful about naming specific brand. You're going to dial down the branding. So for instance, if you're doing a CPA offer on how to short trade or day trade, and it's a specific kind of system, and the key to the system is like algorithm X, like, it's algorithm X trading miracle or something like that. You're going to try, and the key of it is a special software. You don't want to say that everywhere if you're going to change the offer later on and it's actually a coaching program, because then you'd have to go through all of your articles and take the branding out of the writing, right? Or the solution, the technology out of the writing. So that's the only thing I would just, be careful that you keep it really general if you're going to make a CPA offer at the core product or brand. Cool. Anybody else? Shane's also saying basically forming a plan to dominate, so offers now will just be a single offer of many. Okay, if you do that, Shane, again, just keep in keep in mind the life cycle of, interestingly enough, like for example, if you're day trading, or like there's certain kinds of trading systems that target women, even though most traders are men. That's an example of that. So just take a look at the offer and keep things general. And if you're going to cover the whole gamut of that specific offer. And the thing is that you gave me information there, Shane, that's really important. You've actually already done what Matt and I call PPR, pay per research. You were saying that you're using Craigslist to confirm that the company works and that the offers are there. That is excellent. Do not underestimate. You've already done your testing. You've paid to do your testing. That's very different than when you're just starting with us and pulling a rabbit out of the hat and say, I don't know, shake the magic 8-ball on ClickBank engine and just pick whatever comes to mind. That's a little bit different. So that's good. You've got all that set up.
No, it's half the battle's won. If it's paying already, it's just a matter of creating the infrastructure to rank for the keywords that run with it, which will give you a more consistent flow of traffic, which will normalize your payouts that you're getting.
Yeah, good job, Shane.
So you can refine it very well, Shane. There's a lot of stuff you can actually do to improve on what you got already, because you know that your baseline's there. You just need to stabilize it. That's what your challenge is at the moment.
Matt will help you tweak that, to the 10th power. So that's awesome. Okay, I guess we should move on now.
Cool. Yeah. So guys, just for this week, all I want you guys to do is basically define your product, define your market, define what segments you believe your market is that your product will sell in. Okay. The reason why we're doing this is because this is going to help us when we go to Kraken and we do our vertical online market analysis. We're going to actually scan the entire market and find out where the traffic is, where the money is spent, how strong the competition is that you're up against, which then helps us strategize on what we need to build. We need to define the market personality. Market personality, we think about websites. The way a woman perceives a website is different to the way a man perceives a website and how he wants to consume the information. And the same goes for different types. For example, using golfers as an example, if you're a beginner golfer, there's certain things you want to see, whereas an intermediate golfer might not want to see it, and definitely an advanced golfer will definitely not want to know anything about beginners. Okay, so this is why we've got to segment our markets and understand who we're dealing with. Okay. It also when we understand who we're selling to, it helps us design the site in particular ways. Okay, so if you're dealing with Forex and that kind of stuff, then all of a sudden blocks, ticker tapes, information, stats that are happening every 5-10 seconds, all those things become very important. Whereas with SASE, it's all about the picture, it's all about the look, it's all about the colors, it's all about the eyes, it's about the hair. It's very visual. Okay, so the market personality dictates the type of site we build, the type of theme that we use, the look and the feel, the corporate ID, the brand. Okay, so this is why it's very important to understand who and what are we selling to. Okay, and always remember, when you build your sites, guys, you got to build your sites from the market personality's perspective, not your business's perspective. Okay, because they're looking through your shop window. It's not you in the shop window looking out at the street. They're looking in and they need to see what they want to see. They don't want to see what you think they want to see. Okay, that's a very important thing that you guys must take away at this point. Okay, and then what we're going to start doing is, once we've gone through these, we're going to start looking at what are the root keywords that define our market sectors. So, for example, with SASE, we're looking at wedding hair and makeup is one of the root keywords as an example. Makeup artist is one of the things. Hairstylist is another thing. These are all the keywords that are sort of related keywords that define what it is that we're either doing or what we're selling. So this week's just an exploratory week. We're going to be basically looking at our product, writing down our notes, writing down our ideas, writing down prices, writing down what our competitors are offering, what they're selling this stuff for, and all we're doing is we're basically getting a baseline of what's real and then testing it against our assumptions. And then from that, we can decide, okay, what's the best way to move forward next? And then in week 2, this is where Russell starts talking about the pain in the market, where we can really start looking at, okay, is my product a pain or is it a vitamin? Okay, so that's it for basically for week 1. I just wanted to take you guys through this process to give you the whole overview of what we're going to do, and then roughly what we're going to do in week 1 and week 2. Because in week 3, this is where we're going to drill out all your keywords. You're going to jump into Kraken. We're going to extract that. Then we're going to start from week 4. We're building. This is what we're doing. So this first 2 weeks are the most important weeks, because if the better we define, the simpler our build becomes in weeks 3, 4, 5, and 6. The more vague we are now, the harder it's going to be, because we're not going to be able to get to what we want to when we're actually looking at the markets.
Nice.
Okay. That's it for this week, Russ.
Good. Any wrap-up questions from the community here? Now's the time. Anybody? Everybody good? You feel like you know where you're going now, Jason? We've given you some pretty hardcore parameters. Shane, you got that? Everybody else seems to be fine as well. Okay, good. All right, good. So I think we'll go ahead and wrap this up for today. Yes, that's a good point. Someone's just notated. There are replays inside the Technical Foundation 1. Let me give you a quick conceptual overview of what's happening. Technical Foundation 1 is this course that you're in now is the only course required should you want to take our live network empire, market domination, persuasion, and business architecture events, okay, which are happening live every year. We're already starting to set up the next event. Any prices that you pay for any of our advanced certification, there are actually 4 levels. This is Technical Foundation 1. There's 2, 3, and 4 that come after this. Some people stop right where they are with this one. Other ones decide they want to move on with diversification of even more traffic. They want to move into my video automation systems, where I then, open up my kimono and show you how to automate traffic and videos into the millions of pages. You can probably understand why we wouldn't show you something like that unless you had a money site, unless you understood how to properly set up your infrastructure. And then, of course, in week 4, Matt and Sue and the rest of the team get seriously into the outer WebRing layer for serious market domination and connecting all the dots. Now, you learn a lot of those dot connecting points as they relate to your money site. Just wanted you to know that this is a full-scale, university-level advanced training system that we've been developing for a decade. There's a lot to it. Take your time. We're not going anywhere. Each and every course is a perpetual mastermind training event. You can look on the calendar on swallowyourmarketwhole.com or any one of the landing pages for the training course and see all the events scheduled on a Google Calendar that we have embedded in there. If you ever have any questions, you should be in level 1 certification, okay, in the Skype group. Make sure that you're there in case you have anything. We all look in there. I'm there. I have Skype open throughout the day. If any serious questions come up, I try to nail them. Matt also nails them. So just want to give you guys an overview of where you might want to go. We know that all of you have different levels that you're trying to achieve, but we're here for the duration. Once a member, always a member in terms of a certification event. You can audit these courses at any time in the future as we grow, and want to make sure that you are aware that we're here for you and committed to your online success. We're not going to drag you across the finish line. But now actually, Jason has asked, do we get a diploma? The answer to that question is we have that in the works. We are not accredited, although we were approached at one point by Phoenix University or something like that. We are not accredited. We're kind of outside the parameter of academia. But yes, I believe that we are in the works of actually passing out a piece of paper like I got from Bruce Clay in the 90s that says you completed the Network Empire course. So we actually don't have that printed out right now, Jason, but even though you were joking, there have been students that would like to have some kind of, we are also going to be creating level badges so that we also want to do it for ourselves. We need to be able to keep track of which students have gone through what courses, and in the community it would also be very, very helpful for them to know that. So all kidding aside, yes, we do want to keep track of what you've been going through because it does matter to us as you achieve higher levels within the leveling up system that we have for the Network Empire community. There are more benefits. For instance, when you complete the entire training, you apply every course level 1, 2, 3, and 4 towards the cost of the live certification event. At that point, you have access to certain benefits, which might even involve, for example, client overflow and these types of things as we move towards that. So just want to give you a quick overview of the big vision that we have for all of the students in the Network Empire community. With that being said, we'll see you next week, same bat time, same bat cave, and we look forward to seeing you then.
One last thing I want to say there, Russ. Guys, when you log into the tech course, on the home page, you'll find my Skype address and Russell's Skype address as well as the help desk, typical any files, all the things that you need to answer your questions are all on the front page of the actual course. You'll see it here, the Tech Foundation course. You'll find all the links and the Skype usernames for us as well. Sorry, Russ. I just wanted to point out
That's
where
okay.
they could get at if
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. All right, good. I'm looking forward to hopefully meeting some of you in person. It's really great to have you, and Matt and I will catch you. I think Sue may have already departed, but we will catch you on the inside, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.